At some point or another, your organization is going to grow to a point where you need to hire people. And one of the first questions that we get when we're looking to bring people into the organization is, how do we actually develop the talent that we bring on? And so today I'm going to go over with you guys 6 key things that we do with any new hire that we bring into our company to help ensure longevity and success. I'm Kate Simon, and I coach CEOs, entrepreneurs, and leaders all over the country to hit their personal goals so that they can hit their organizational goals. So let's get into it. All right, guys, so the first point here, and this sounds like a no-brainer, but believe me, the amount of leaders that I coach who can't answer this question is enough that I need to make this the first point. In order to develop anybody in your organization, you first have to understand what the job is and what specifically you need to develop them on. So we have a lot of different practices in which we identify this, but what I can recommend to you is to make a list. It could be in Google Sheets, it could be in a note section of your phone, and identify what are the key skills of a given role that somebody needs to master in order to be successful in that given role. So it goes without saying, but point number 1 is, in order to develop somebody in a role, you have to first understand what the components are that make that role successful. Next, the second point here is, once you have that list of tasks that this hire needs to be able to learn how to do, we actually have to prioritize them. Now, this is actually very underrated in how important this is. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because when we make a list, and it could be 15 or 20 items that we want this individual to learn how to do in our organization, it can be very easy to start with the easy stuff to ease them in, or start with the fun stuff so that they want to keep showing up to the job and showing up to the role. However, what I'm going to recommend that you guys do is actually take that list, whether it's 15, 20, 25 points, and we have to ask ourselves, if this person, if we had to guarantee this person's success, what is the first and most important thing I would teach them how to do? And then you ask yourself that question as you go through every single point on that checklist. You have to ask yourself, if they've mastered this, what is the next most important thing they have to master in order to succeed in the role? You might be thinking, Kate, like, I just prioritize it, I just make a list, and like, yes, that's what I'm asking you to do. But what I'm really asking here, as you're going through and prioritizing this list, is you as a leader need to ask yourself, how does this affect me if they don't master this? Which of these points am I most willing to be flexible on and give more time on? And those are the ones that you're going to put at the end of the list. But if we're prioritizing how we want to train somebody, we really need to be looking at what are the 3 to 5 key tasks that this person can do to take more off your plate and create more bandwidth, and how quickly can we get them up to speed on those 3 to 5 things. Then from there, there's probably some flexibility with, what is point 10 through 15, and that's fine. But it's really important that we understand that when we're putting together a development plan, even though a job might have 15 different tasks or 20 different tasks, it's important that we understand that there's only a small portion of those tasks that are non-negotiable essential, and the rest of them are something that we can continue to learn, continue to develop. It's not going to affect the overall profitability and growth of the organization. So as a leader, I would ask you, which of those tasks on that list that you made could you absolutely not do without? And how do we prioritize those first so that when that talent comes in and takes on those roles, it actually frees you up to be able to go do more? All right, so the next point here is actually organize it and schedule it out, right? If you're looking at a list of 15 tasks, what is the duration of time in which you would expect somebody to be proficient in all 15, okay? And it could be 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. In our world, we typically do a 90-day onboarding, and the most important things are prioritized in the first 30 days. The medium important things are prioritized in the second 30 days, and then the bells and the whistles and the would-be nice things are prioritized on the last 30 days. And so as you're putting this list together and actually prioritizing them, what I'm going to encourage you to do is actually schedule it out. Meaning, week 1, what tasks are they learning? And as the leader, what is your role in that training? Week 2, what are they going to be learning, and what is your role in that training? And so when you're bringing somebody into the organization, first of all, it's going to be incredibly helpful for them to see their map of development. But as a leader, it's also going to help keep you focused on what is a reasonable expectation for the talent you brought on within the first 30 days based on how you've already trained them. And so having a list of priorities that you want to go over with them is not enough. You actually have to schedule it out, make time to teach them that so that you can make sure that you're not asking more of your talent than they have been properly trained for. All right, this next point, it is not mandatory. It is a would be nice. And again, I'm sharing all of my best recommendations with you guys that I have learned the hard way. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead to the top right corner and click subscribe. You're gonna hear more of these lessons along the way in future videos. But here is one that I learned the hard way and I'm recommending you do differently. When you bring talent on into your organization, give them a mentor or a peer that they can turn to and ask questions to that is not directly you. First of all, it's important to understand that if you're bringing somebody on and you're responsible for their paycheck, they might not feel comfortable or vulnerable enough to admit to you if they don't fully understand what it is that you're teaching them. So for instance, you could bring somebody on to help you with YouTube and you might be explaining to them how to create searchability within a YouTube video, but they might not feel totally comfortable saying to you, hey, I kind of get what you're explaining to me. Could you go over that again? So create some sort of peer-to-peer situation within your organization, if you have that luxury, of course, to really give them another person to turn to ask their questions to run by certain scenarios to, so that they have permission to be vulnerable and be less than perfect with somebody who's not responsible for their paycheck. If you don't have an organization big enough where you can partner them up with a buddy or a peer, that's okay, but just understand that you might need to create a little bit more of like a safe environment to say, hey, how do you feel about your first week of training so far? What do you feel super confident on? And what do you feel like you need a little bit more help with? You've got to create this dynamic where they feel safe and comfortable coming to you to say that they don't understand something without fearing that they're going to lose their job or credibility with you by asking. All right, next point. As the leader, when you bring people into the organization, it is your job to do everything in your power to help this person succeed. So how do we do that? Of course, we schedule regular one-on-one meetings with this person to discuss specifically their development in that role. And as you're bringing people on to onboard them, it's important that you have regular meetings, I would recommend, at the front of the week and at the back of the week, so a Monday and a Friday, to discuss with them, this is what we're going over this week. This is what I hope to get through with you and teach you how to master. And then by the end of the week, you're saying, hey, we only got to 2 out of the 3 priorities. How do you feel about the 2 out of the 3 that we handled so far? So you're having regular check-ins, not about the work you're doing. This is very important we understand this. It's not about the projects you're working on or the work you're doing. You're having regular scheduled meetings about their development and how they're progressing along the development. Now, the reason this is so important, okay, the reason this is crucial, so important, is because if 90 days or 6 months down the line, things aren't working with this particular hire the way that you want them to be working, as your coach, I'm gonna ask you the question of, what does their 30, 60, 90 look like, and what is your regular development meeting schedule with them? Occasionally, I have clients that come back to me with a deer in headlights and they're like, I don't know, Kate, I don't meet with them regularly. And so now we're having a different conversation, which is, are the expectations you have of this person fair, considering that you've given them next to nothing to actually develop and win with this role? Now, on the contrary, if you can tell me exactly what you've done to develop this person, and you can tell me exactly where they're succeeding and exactly where they keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again, we might be discussing walking that person down a different path, which may or may not still be with your organization. But the entire point here that I'm trying to share is you can't actually answer that question to anybody who asks you unless you're meeting with them regularly and you're able to track and follow their progress and their ability to actually execute on what it is you're asking them to do. So really important, guys, just to put a bow on that point, one-on-ones are important for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's important for the actual development of the person that you hired. But number two, this is your insurance policy to know if you need to move on from this candidate in 6 months, you have everything documented so that you know that you've done everything you could to develop this person. All right, guys, so the last point here, and this is really important to understand, after you have successfully onboarded this hire, after you believe you have developed them, you have helped them overcome their obstacles, they have executed a 30, 60, 90, it is crucial, and this is the last and most important step here, that you continue regular scheduled one-on-ones with this person. Now, for the first while, it's going to be a lot of figuring things out, problem solving, figuring out how you can be a better leader, figuring out how they can show up stronger. Once you've hit a groove, Don't get complacent. Don't leave those meetings. In fact, we have a rule that even if you think you don't have anything to communicate with that person about because you're in communication every day and you were just texting them, you hold space in that meeting no matter what, so that they know that they have a safe space to come to you with something that's on their mind, something that they have a question about, and they know that this is their space to be developed by you. Now, in the meetings where I have gone into and I felt like, oh, I'm good, we talk all the time, oh, I'm good, you know, in the absence of like an agenda or projects to talk about, what actually comes out is deeper stuff. Hey, how are you liking your development so far with the company? Hey, what do you love about the job? What do you not love about the job? Hey, in 6 months' time, you know, where would you like to stretch your creativity a little bit? And so what I want to share with you guys here is that these one-on-one meetings for development are not just to execute on a 30, 60, 90. Right away, sure, that's the most important thing. But I would say in leadership and in development in general, it's important to hold space for your people on a regular basis where you can continue to uncover ways in which they can improve, not just within your organization, but if you earn the right, improve in their life as well. If you execute on these 6 points, I can guarantee you that you're gonna have talent that joins your organization and succeeds, or you're gonna have the confidence that you need to move on from that candidate and bring another one into the organization. Make sure you like this video, drop your favorite point in the comments below, and subscribe to my channel for future content like this.